This is Connected Threads, Season 2 of the Happily Living podcast. I am your host, Gabrielle Brown, and in this season, we explore the interconnections between ourselves and nature, including how cultural practices, technologies, and lifestyles impact the environment and ourselves. The season of grace, knowing how to be kind to ourselves in the things we do eco-consciously, but not giving ourselves too much hardship over the things we are still working on. Welcome to the Happily Living crew as we continue on this journey in being our better selves. Let's get into it. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Happily Living podcast. This is the first episode into our new season, Connected Threads. I am so excited to be back 7 months later. That was a long break. I can't believe I last left off in February. That's crazy how much time has passed and the whole summer has gone by. I've gotten a house now. I traveled to Thailand and Malaysia. I then came home to us having a mice problem and then learning out later that we also had bats in our attic. And then we had back-to-back weddings. So let's break this down. Moving in took about 2 months, not the literal moving in part, but more like unboxing everything and getting everything organized the way we needed to or wanted it to be. And this is a renovational home, so we are constantly renovating, or at least we were. We're taking a little break right now because we definitely needed to, but in the beginning we were just renovating nonstop and things were just everywhere and chaotic and it was a lot. And I'm not best with a chaotic home. It makes me feel like a messy home gives me a messy mind, and then I'm just all over the place. I'm just frazzled. I'm irritated really quickly, and I don't like to be like that. I don't like to be very snippy, and Ben is just such a sweet guy and he will totally understand. It just pisses me off more because I'm like, you're supposed to be mad at me. I'm being mean. But I would definitely have to say that my surrounding environment did not encourage me to start back up with the podcast, but now here we are, and I will drop a new episode every month. I feel like that would work out the best for me, and just trying to enjoy the podcast and bringing new insights to everything. I have a lot of goals for myself, and I like to cultivate an atmosphere that makes me enticed and invigorated and wanting to do something, and this podcast makes me really happy. I get to talk to you guys. I get to share things that I feel like there isn't a platform for, so we're gonna stick with that for a little bit, figure out the kinks, and go from there. So let's catch up on my new place. We overlook a lake. We've gotten all new appliances. We've built in a dining room bench because the dining room is connected to the kitchen, right? It's all one room. And they had a table there before that we sold. And we decided, I'm a very big Pinterest girl. So we decided to do like an L-shaped bench. It is so cute. I think Ben did such a great job with his cuts, and we used batten board for the outside cover like a frame, and we painted it a moody, eerie blue. It's giving very much retro European vibes, and I feel like that's very speculative, right? Because you can just, depending on how you do the cushions and the pillows, can change its vibe up. But we used my old mattress foam as the cushion for the seating, and I got really nice fabric that is repellent for spills to use as the cover of it. It's like this cream color, and you wrap it around that cushion foam because Ben's a genius, and he was like, why don't we use your foam cover that I absolutely hate? I was like, you know what, that's fine. And we used plank board, stapled it, and put it all together. It was very much makeshift, but it worked out really well and it looks really good, and I'm so happy with it because it's my little nook. Out of all the rooms in my house, I feel like I spend the most time in the kitchen. I cook a lot. I enjoy eating all the time. Like, that's my thing, and you can overlook the lake from our kitchen, so I do that. So what we did was we got a couple of pillows from World Market. That is my Achilles heel. I love World Market. The expense of it, though, definitely keeps me accountable and holds me back from buying anything very often, but we got blue and white checkered pillows that accent off of the blue batten board, and 2 fun pillows. So one's cream, and then it has little swirls on it. It's super cute. And then this sardine can looking pillow that reminds me of Italy, and I'm in love with it. Then we thrifted a bunch of frames to put on the back side of this wall, and they're all different and mismatched and old. I love it so much. Ugh, my Pinterest board is coming to life. I'm here for it. The latest project we've done for our house is the guest room, but before I get into the guest room, because that is, I feel like, a can of worms, and I'm gonna go on a tangent. We first redid our master bathroom because we only had a half bath as our master bathroom. The lady that lived here built the house to where it would fit her needs because she lived in it her whole life. So she made her guest bathroom a full bath and made it pink, and it's hot pink. Not like a pastel, it's hot pink. No disrespect, not personally my favorite, but so we redid the master bathroom. We added a shower to it, of course, and that meant that we had to extend the bathroom outwards and take half of the original closet space. So we only have half a closet, right? It's small, but we plan on doing some projects here and there to really elevate the space and maximize use of it. But right now that's not done. So we're using the guest bedroom's closet as both of ours closets. So when we started redoing the guest bedroom, our clothes were everywhere. And I'm telling you, all on the couch, all on the floor in the living room, in the kitchen, I want to say, but at some point I couldn't deal with it, so I had to move it out into the office. Like, it was a lot. Granted, shortly after we started like kind of opening up that project and getting into it, I had Ben take charge and I went out of town to Thailand for a week and Malaysia for 2 weeks. It was kind of like a situation where I'm not going to be here, so it's okay. I'm not going to be anxious about it. And Ben really didn't care where the clothes were. He's very laid back, so that worked out well for him and me. So he had his demo day and he ripped off the trim, which he didn't have to do, so we don't have trim on the bottom of it right now. And then he painted it the wrong color, by the by. And he called me, and we picked all these paint colors for each room, taped the swatches on all the walls in the very beginning, right? Months ago, like in March. And he got the wrong color, and then he painted all of the walls, 3 walls, and it was like this dark chocolate, and this is a smaller room, so you want to do a lighter color so it really opens up the space and make it look bigger than it is. And I was like, Ben, like, bro, like, what are you doing? Like, no, this isn't gonna work. This makes it smaller. I don't know why you painted all 3 walls before figuring it out. I was like, you got to get it a different paint. We're not keeping it this way. So he got a different paint color. We ended up doing a even lighter color than the paint swatch that we had originally because we realized the paint swatches seem to be a little bit lighter than how they actually turn out. And we do Sherwin-Williams, so maybe that can help you in case you start to paint for your house or paint anything. Just know it's like a little bit darker. But we decided to do soft fawn, which is like a tan. It was off my Pinterest board too, so it worked out really well. Again, you know me and Pinterest. We did like an IKEA bed, so it's like a day bed and you pull it out and it's a queen size, and then you can put it back in because the room is so small. And we're redoing the closet, or I guess we're done with it now, but we were redoing the closet. So what happened was we had gone off my Pinterest board, right? Because that's very on brand for me. And the amount of times, I feel like this should be a drinking game. The amount of times I say Pinterest or Pinterest board is when you drink. However, when we looked at my Pinterest board, it was supposed to be more centered where we had that shelving unit, but we decided to do an IKEA shelving unit and then do, some rails on the side, and then we'll do shelves on the left side. The way that it wasn't set up for the middle because it didn't work that way. So the left side was harder to get into in a sense because you're going to have shelves and then you're going to have clothes hanging off and you don't want it to be on top of each other. It doesn't look good. It's not very functional to the eye, that type of thing. And if you're putting money into something, you want it to come out the best you can do it. So we decided we needed to take down some of the wall and extend it as much as we could, just trying to get 3 more inches. We were so dramatic. 3 inches. If you ever have to take down a wall just to extend 3 inches, I am so here for you and I am so sorry. I truly am. Because it's a process. We had to break down the 2x4s and the drywall to make a bigger opening in the closet. By doing this, right, because we're both first timers, we watched YouTube videos, and then many mental breakdowns later, we got the Schluter pieces nailed. Schluter pieces are the pieces that really make your edges of your walls, where the corners are, very sharp, very clean. It's a very crisp look. So you have to do Schluter, you nail it in, and then we got it mudded, painted, and it's all done. I might be missing, some steps before. I didn't do those steps. But you have to do that. And then you have to mud it, right? So you can basically cover up new drywall, right? Because you took down a wall. So you have to make it look the exact same as the rest of the walls. And then after that, you have to sand it. I didn't sand it enough apparently, but I didn't know that. I was so confused. I didn't know what to do. And I primed it. Sanded it, primed it, and then Ben told me, no, you got to do it again. I'll help you. This, if you put paint on this, it's going to look like garbage. Great. Fantastic. I love to hear it. This is what I was wanting. One mental breakdown later, we sanded it again. We noticed that we kind of messed up with the mudding because if you watch a YouTube video, it looks so easy. It looks so simple. You're like, I got this, no problem. You do it. It's not difficult, but yet it doesn't turn out how you want it to be and you don't know why. That type of situation. And I was like, granted, the people who do this have been doing this as their job, or they've done this for a very long time and they have a lot of experience in it. So of course it's gonna look super good. So I would recommend looking at it from like the other corner of the room, and it looks really good. It does. Looks fantastic. A little kiss. You go up close, it doesn't look as good. Now, granted, this is a renovational home. It is going to be rented out sometime, so it's going to be okay. It's not great, but it's functional. It's not terrible. It's fine. We're good. It's all good. We're good. However, need I remind you, we had mice and bats. I did not find out, neither of us did, that we had mice in our house until the literal day I got back home from my 3-week trip. The day I got back, right? So I'm like coming back home, ready to start a routine, ready to get my life together and, you know, have some structure. I figured Ben finished the entire guest room, and I wanted to start cooking again, you know, because I really enjoy making home cooked meals, making it very colorful. I don't know what it is. It just really energizes me and gets me so excited and makes me feel really good, but it also tastes really good. So I was ready to get into this era of my life, if you will. And we had mice. First time homeowner. I don't know what I'm doing, right? Every step is like a new thing and you feel like a deer in headlights. You call your mom. You're like, what do I do? Like, am I even ready for this? Like, you're freaking out. And it's like, it happens to anybody. It's not your boyfriend not cleaning up and you blaming him for the mice in the house because the moment you left, you come back and there's mice in the house, right? Like, that was a little irrational and I get it. I was not the most stable in that moment. We're good. It's all good. We don't have mice anymore. However, for any woman out there who has to deal with this, or anyone, it doesn't even have to be a woman, and you freak out, it's completely understandable. It's completely understandable. Because you have mice in your house. Like, how do you get that, right? We found out that after we had like a quote, an extermination come out and just kind of check everything and, you know, give us an idea as to what was really going on, where the activity is, and how they're getting in. We had 8 openings surrounding our house. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. I was surprised that they hadn't gotten into our house before. But evidently, they're not just like around looking for places all the time, right? They're very good at making nests, finding places to, you know, cultivate a new spawn and whatnot. And leading up to the day I got back, there was a torrential downpour of rain. There was a lot of quote unquote flooding. You know, we have a lot of spiders coming towards our house on the outside because they are flooded out of their area and they're looking for things to eat. And then the mice are flooded out of their nests, so they're looking for a new place to live. And when you have openings, it's like a welcome mat to your home. So essentially, we had to close up those openings. There was a lot of activity in our attic with both mice and bats. Bats are protected, so they don't kill them. The situation with the mice, they'll use like live bait traps, and the chemical in the live bait will actually dehydrate them, so they go to a water source, and from that water source it'll activate the chemical and then they'll they'll slowly die, which is terrible, but we had to do what we had to do. And the live traps, we were trying to use live traps and get them, release them 2 miles from our home if we caught any. We didn't catch any, but the guy came in. Like I said, bats are protected, so you can't kill them. So what they did was they closed up all the holes. They left one that was a exit only return, so it allows the bats to exit, but they can't get back in. Let me tell you, anything for your home is so expensive. But at this moment, I was like, I will do anything. I will do anything. Luckily, we're doing like this little payment plan, so it's 0% interest because we're doing really good with our credit. So that was fantastic. But that took a long time, right? Like in the midst of this, dealing with the mice problem the day I got back, we were leaving for Denver for a family wedding on that Thursday, and I got back Sunday. So it was not even a week in between that time that I was leaving again, and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if I was going to cultivate more of them because no one's going to be there, so they're just kind of like party type of thing. And essentially, our clothes were everywhere. So this was just like an amusement park for them, right? They had all these things to hide under and go through, and it just felt like the mouse trap. So, being me, one of the things I did, being alone in the house, was watch Cinderella because I felt like my mental health was just not there, and I didn't know what else to do besides wait for them to make an appointment and set it up. And then after that appointment, when they put the live bait traps and then go in our attic and sterilize, clean everything, put new insulation, close up the holes, right? Anything that was in the house can no longer leave. So we're kind of like freaking out. I'm freaking out. Ben handles things very, very well. And so he was getting anxious, and I just knew, oh my gosh, like we didn't expect to get into this, but here we are. So I was watching Cinderella, trying to help my mental health. It made it so much easier because I felt like I was distracted and I kind of had some like, okay thing being around mice. It was more of just like the fact of putting a good perspective with the situation. And then I watched Ratatouille, which I know they're rats and not mice, but you know, you can't win them all. And yeah, that worked really well for me. I used all my essential oils. We tried to make our bedroom and the house really uncomfortable as much as possible because there is, I forgot the name of it, but there's a certain chemical in these citrus type of essential oils or peppermint or eucalyptus that they don't like. And so we were trying to make it very uncomfortable where they wouldn't go around us, especially since most of the activity was in the kitchen. So we had to box all of our food up. I'm boiling water on the stove with so much peppermint oil in it. You know, you feel like you're in a Christmas store, tucking in towels underneath our door, like just trying to figure out what to do to, you know, feel safe in our own room. And then coming back, I found mouse poop and pee on my sweatshirt in my bedroom and on my bed, and I'm just like freaking out because then it just felt like, this may sound dramatic, but it's truly how I felt. I felt like I was in prison where you pee in front of people. I felt like I was completely exposed, like I had no privacy. I didn't know what was peed on because the only reason why I saw pee on my sweatshirt was because it was a Lululemon sweatshirt, right? So the material is different than all your other clothes, right? So I didn't know if they peed on all my other clothes that I just cleaned that were on my bed and it dried, right? So I was so grossed out. I was so stressed out. I was just discombobulated. That was one of the lowest points in the year. Granted, that sounds very privileged and I understand, and I'm very grateful that that was one of the lowest points, but I would not go through it again. Let me tell you, it sucked. So anyways, all set up in our guest room, the clothes are put away, everything's unboxed again. They came back to our house yesterday, literally yesterday. This was a month process to see how the baits were doing, and they believe, because the baits don't really have a lot of activity on it, like literally no activity, and the attic doesn't have any activity either. So they believe that they were all gone before they closed up all the openings, which makes me feel really, really happy because I, at one point, was so sad because I felt like these mice, right, okay. If you can try to understand for a moment, because some people feel like this is very sensitive, but I feel like having a sensitive part in you is something that makes you very, very strong as a person. So if you could just be understanding for just a moment while I do this. When mice are just trying to live their life, like us, right? Anything on the planet, they're doing for themselves. They're looking out for number one. They're trying to have a home. They're trying to feed themselves. They're trying to have offspring like we do. We have a family. So you have mice that are flooded from their own homes and they're just trying to find somewhere else to live. And essentially, they found our casa, which wasn't ideal for us. However, I felt so bad because I felt like they were eating the bait and they were just dying, just decaying slowly in our walls, and I could not have felt more sad. I felt awful and I didn't know how to go about it. And these are mice, right? So on a perspective, I'm very sensitive and I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally confident in that. But I know some people are like, dude, it's mice. They're gross. But it's there's gross people out there. There are so many more gross people than mice. And if you watch Cinderella or Ratatouille or Mousetrap, you kind of get a feel for these little guys. I would never have a pet mouse. I don't want mice, but I don't want to go out of my way to kill something when I'm just trying to protect my home and let them be them. So I know a lot of people don't agree with that. You do you and me do me. But I feel a lot better knowing that they were not in the house when we did everything. So now I'm done talking about this situation. You don't have to worry about me even saying that word anymore for the rest of the episode, rest of the season. Let's move on with ourselves. 20 minutes into the podcast and all I've talked about was mice and our projects. But that was something I did want to go over with you guys and I just didn't realize it was going to take so long. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this chaotic journey with me so far. And let's get on to the travels. I spent a week in Thailand and 2 weeks in Malaysia. I flew into South Korea as my layover there and back, which I love Korean skincare. So that was a major vibe for me as well. From there, I had a couple flights before I got into Chiang Mai. However, once I was there, this is a city, downtown city area. It was so cool. I got to do yoga in the park and meet all these really rich, vibrant people. Rich, I mean happily rich. Just showing gratitude and positivity, just spiritual awareness, that type of rich. It was just so magnetizing. And then we got to try all these different restaurants, whether they're Western or more cultured. They had the Sunday markets. And it was right on the street that we had our hidden garden hostel, which was so cool, by the way. They have Grab, which is similar to Uber, but you have a scooter option. So it's moped, really. I got to ride a scooter a couple times and I'd listen to music in my AirPods and I just felt like I was in a movie. It was so cool to experience. And the city life is so popular. So many people are out and about just smiling and having a great time and just really soaking in the culture. I feel like their culture matched with the tourism and how that really brings in a lot of funds for their community and economy, brings out their gratitude. So they'd say komika, and that is thank you or just appreciation. And I don't feel like I said it right. I don't feel like I ever really said it right because their language has a lot to do with vowels, and when you sing you have different decibels and vocals, and that really plays a huge part in their language as well. So it's a difficult language, but they would always show so much kindness and gratitude just for your presence, just for your service, just in general. It was super cool to experience that. And then in all, if not most buildings, I wouldn't say all, you would take off your shoes, especially in the temples. You would take off your shoes. In the buildings, they'd give you these slides and I felt so pampered. I got a Thai massage, I got a facial, and at the facial place, I ended up getting an IV drip, which I've never really known that much about IV drips. I know that it just goes straight into your bloodstream. I know that they have so many different kinds. I feel like it's mainly a Western thing. It's more expensive in the US for sure. It's not something I ever really spent money on, but it was super cheap. And that may sound sketch, but their currency rate in exchange to ours is so much lower. So everything was super cheap there. So I got this IV drip and it was called Aura Glow. And it was full of vitamin B, B complex, iron, B9, B7, all the vitamin Bs or B vitamins, all the B vitamins. And being deficient in these vitamins, and you have an aura drip and it goes straight into your bloodstream, and I typically take a B complex. I was like, why not? Let's just try it. Let's just get a big dose in my bloodstream, you know what I mean? And B vitamins influence a lot in your body, just like any other vitamin, but they prevent cake or sores because they provide this chemical balance in your saliva to create a good environment for your taste buds. They help with hormonal issues and regulations. They help with acne. They help with digestion, various things, right? As is other vitamins and minerals. So when you're lacking this and then you have this opportunity to do or a glow drip, then might as well try it, you know what I mean? So that's what I did, and I kind of felt wild at first because you're getting this in a different country completely. So you kind of have this adrenaline rush because you're in a different country and you're doing something and you're getting a needle in you, and it's just kind of like, wow, what am I doing? But yet this is so sick type of vibe, you know what I mean? And so when she stuck the needle in, I couldn't even feel it at all, which is awesome because sometimes it's, a half and half possibility of someone absolutely bruising you and poking the heck out of you. But she said it would go by fast. It did. She'd come in and check on me. I was chilling. It was kind of a wild experience just to do that for the first time. So I recommend it to everybody, but I do also recommend you do research before you go to a specific place. I'm gonna do that anywhere you go. And then I got Thai massages and a Thai facial, and both of them were so immersive, so energizing. It felt so good. The Thai massage was 90 minutes, so an hour and a half, and it was half the price of what it would have been here, but it felt so amazing. It was a whole process. I started with a rose water foot bath and then ended with like steaming eucalyptus aroma room massage, which sounds really intimate, but I mean, massages are intimate, so okay, that was a little weird. Anyways, moving forward, the facial was giving. It was a hydration facial, and they used technology to like do cooling effects, various other methods. I don't know, I'm not a dermatologist, but I know it felt good, and my face looked so good. My skin looked so plump. Oh, I was so happy. So I definitely recommend those things when you go there. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. And then, let's see, the temples. Yes, so the temples, there are so many temples. Like so many temples, and they're all so different. You have this silver temple, which only men were allowed in, and my friend Habi, she was like, you want a picture? And I'm like, no, only if men are allowed in. I do not want a picture. Which, facts, ladies, do not feel obligated to do something just because it's far away. Like, if it does not respect you, don't do it, period. Anyways, there's like these temples that were just made out of gold and terracotta, pots, ceramic, just vastly detailed. You could see how much work it took and how long it took to make these temples, because these temples are huge. It's so beautiful. The paintings, the drawings, the designs, the architecture of it all was just so overwhelmingly like healing in a way. Like you just feel so in awe, and it was so cool. Talking about this just puts such a smile on my face because I really enjoyed my time there, and it was so cool to experience. So anyone that goes to Thailand, I definitely recommend, or anyone traveling, I definitely recommend going to Thailand, especially Chiang Mai. I spent one day in Bangkok, and that was the day I came back from Malaysia, and that day I also had to fly out. So I didn't spend enough time in Bangkok, so I obviously got to go back. But after our first week, like I said, we went to Malaysia and we spent 2 weeks there. And it's so vastly different than Thailand. There's a lot of Buddhism still. There's still temples, but there's also a Muslim presence there. So I feel like half of it's Buddhist, half of it's Muslim, and I'm sure it's integrated just like ours. There's a lot of different cultures mingling in there. It was super cool because we were in the jungle and you could just hear the Muslim prayer being played like 3 times a day, and by the end of the 2 weeks I had it I felt like I just got it stuck in my head, and it was like a good vibe when you hear it, and like I know that's not necessarily what it's meant for. However, it was positive vibes, and it was really cool just to experience that culture aspect of it and how dedicated they are. Getting to go there and just learning everything in general for the first time was like living in a time without Google. Going to school in elementary school, just feeling I can't believe I never knew that, or I can't believe this exists, and it took me to come over here to even find out about this. It was just so cool. living jungle style. We got to go on river cruises, visited at least 15 temples on the entire trip. We were really in depth with the culture. The phone did not do any justice, like whatsoever. And we also explored various conservations, which was super, super cool to see. There's some that I just felt kind of indifferent about. Now, on these river cruises, we got to see all of the Bornean Big Five, which is the orangutan, the proboscis monkey, the pygmy elephant, the rhinoceros hornbill, and I'm going to say this wrong, but estuarine crocodile. So we saw all Big Five, which was absolutely epic. I didn't get to see the clouded leopard. It wasn't a part of the Big Five. However, it brings you back out there. It's not the end of the world. You're not going to be able to see everything, but I thought, how cool was it that they couldn't be found? You know, they have privacy. They're super hard to spot. They're very elusive. And I honestly respect it because during the river cruises, there are like 20 plus boats all getting notified of sightings. And so they all go to it and it's very traffic heavy, which is a huge bummer because although it's a form of ecotourism that their economy heavily relies on, it's not entirely respective to the environment, creating that safe distance between you and whatever animal, whatever species you're seeing. But there's so many people living in these villages that just aspire to have their own river cruise, Airbnb, just to be able to care for their families and bring money home and be able to have food on the plate. So it's really tough because it goes hand in hand, right? At one point, there was a herd of 70 pygmy elephants crossing the Kinabatangan River. And it, kid you not, it takes a long time for these elephants to cross. I think it probably took like an hour or so. And there's saltwater crocodiles usually on the edges of the river because of any monkeys that fall. You know, it's a good meal, good day for the crocodile. Anything that tries to cross, especially elephants, they'll attack the babies. So I was on the edge of my seat, trying to enjoy the moment, but also realizing the intensity of the situation. We're out in the wild. This is a for real discovery moment. So I'm like, please, 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 just get your booty across. And they take their time. Elephants can be fast. Elephants can trample the heck out of you. That's why we weren't able to do our walks through the jungle because that herd was there. It was present. They would kill you in an instant. Like, it's just really, really dangerous to walk in the jungle when these herds are there. But when they cross a river, I don't know if it's super muddy on the bottom. I would not be surprised if it was, but they're a little slower. And the babies have a hard time getting up, even sometimes the adults, because the mud is just, you know, they ain't got hands like we do. And so it takes them a little moment, but safely all across, 70 elephants had made their way. They're all good, I believe. So no crocodiles did anything, which was fantastic. But like I said, we also saw proboscis monkeys, various kingfishers, which are super cool. We got to see orangutans. There were water monitors, you know, those big giant lizards, like an 8-foot water monitor at one point. And it was so crazy to see. It was actually kind of an adrenaline rush because being in this far out place, this is totally normal, but when you're in person with such an exotic species that could be very, very dangerous, you worry for your life firsthand. And coming in contact with them, whether they're in the water below you or crossing the path, which I've experienced both, you're just in this fight or flight response. And while it's both absolutely amazing and scary, the adrenaline just wakes you up. And it's so cool to experience, and I say that a lot throughout this episode, but it's true because how else am I supposed to describe my entire journey in Malaysia and Thailand? They're vastly different, like I said, but their cultures are somewhat overlapping, and the wildlife also overlaps, but it's totally normal to them. Completely different over here, but totally normal to them to experience water monitors taking over their drugstores. Now, I'm not saying that because it's normal, they don't freak out. There was videos that we saw while we were there in Thailand about these water monitors doing this, and we didn't see anything. But then when we went to Malaysia, we were like, yeah, that's probably where it's happening. It's here. So it was kind of crazy. Very, very cool. Would definitely do it again. I'm a very much adrenaline nature junkie. I don't think I'd bungee jump, but I definitely want to skydive. I definitely want to go cage diving with sharks or even swimming with sharks without the cage in Hawaii. I think that'd be so freaking sick. A lot of people think I'm out of my mind, but you know, what you know makes you kind of go for things, and what you don't know makes you fearful. But that's a whole other discussion that we're not going to do today. So I got to see these sick fish. They're called mud skippers. They're fish that can actually walk on land. There were crabs, green sea turtles, so many stray dogs. And it was similar to Africa, right? Because South Africa, I saw a lot of stray dogs as well. But to an extent, I have such a soft spot for South Africa. And the stray dogs were typically owned by people. They were pets, but would go out and do their thing and then come back. And these dogs, right? Their economy isn't that great. Neither is South Africa, but their economy, they're really struggling to feed themselves and their family. So they're not going to give anything to the dogs, right? They have to fend for themselves. So they don't really see dogs as this loving, holy companion. It's more of just like a wild animal that is kind of like a pest sometimes. And so they do have their freedom. The dogs get to smell, use their senses, because their sense of smell is like 80% of their visual sight, right? Like this is how they see, this is how they explore the world, this is how they are able to really connect with everything. So they get this freedom, they get to go wherever they want to go and do whatever they want to do. And around the streets, they're typically, for the most part, really, really good with oncoming traffic. But like I said, the downside is not having that companionship. And when you don't have that companionship, you don't have someone taking care of them. They don't get that medical care, and that typically means they have a shorter lifespan. There's like these two dogs that stayed at this backpackers Airbnb place in the jungle that we were at, and it was a male and a female. And if you even try to touch the female, like she backs up, she does not want you to touch her. Personal space, thank you very much. The male, however, he liked to be pet to an extent, and then he'll go do his thing, but he didn't get aggressive, and I fell in love. It doesn't take much for me to fall in love, but I fell in love. They would fall asleep outside other people's doors. They really just enjoyed life. Here's the thing. I tried to give them a little fresh water because, like I'm an American. They're stray dogs. You can help out in some way. But at the same time, you have to realize that you don't want them to rely on those people that are coming in and out to get water, to get food. And they do try to be around when there's food, but granted, they don't get that same type of connection instinct with water. So I was trying to, I even put like a little in a water bottle cap, like literally nothing. And they didn't know what that was. They walked away really quickly. So I was like, okay, cool. I tried helping, but I'm glad it didn't work because, you have that indifference of the survival and everything like that. But they really enjoyed being in this Airbnb. But dogs that were at the Airbnb unfortunately had mange. Now, mange is caused by an external parasite called mites. Or sometimes it's sarcoptic mange if it's like a specific mite, but I'm not a veterinarian, so I really don't know the capacity of the mange. But I do know that while mange does not directly cause death, it can indirectly cause it through external factors. So when it's left untreated, they can have 2 to 3 months to live, depending on the type of mite it is. This being the fact that mites are very itchy, right? They're burrowing underneath your skin, creating a nesting site. So your skin gets very irritable, very itchy. The dogs are going to itch it. They're going to scratch it. They're going to do whatever. They're going to bite it, whatever they need to do to kind of relieve that pain. Again, it doesn't relieve anything. It doesn't get rid of it. Over time, they lose hair. It can be anything, right? So they can pass away from hypothermia. They don't have any fur to keep them warm. They can pass away from open wounds, and when that's open, that wound doesn't heal, and then they get an infection, and it causes other issues, especially when they're in the wild. There's a lot of bacteria that can get in it. There's gnats, various things that will try to kind of go at that wound. And so being in the wild, you have these external factors that can play a huge part in your survival. And unfortunately, my little guy that I really, really got to enjoy and get to experience this Malaysian culture with on the Airbnb has mange, and you get sad, right? But you don't know if he's still out there. Do I hope he's thriving now and the mange and the mites are gone and someone took care of him? It's hard to be hopeful all the time. And these are the things that come with traveling. It's awareness. It's being able to be exposed to all of these various things that do happen in life. I feel like when we experience things in such a traumatic way or just negatively in general, it tends to have a hold on us, harbors our feelings, harbors our emotions, basically dictates how we are going to react and respond through our body language, our facial expressions, whatever it is throughout the day. And by being able to bring yourself back to gratitude through whatever negative experiences you have or continue to have, you're able to take these experiences and use it as a tool to grow into a better person, a better version of yourself. And it's in no way meaning that who you are, exactly as you are, isn't enough, is not deserving. You are more than deserving. My point is that we are constantly growing. That's the name of the game in life. It's to grow. It's to acclimate. It's to be able to take what life gives you and see how you can better yourself for it. See how you change because of it. See how you react to it in spite of it. See how you get on the other side regardless of what came your way. Now, this didn't mean to be a motivational speech, but here we are. So the moment you step into gratitude in a place of love instead of fear, whether it's from traveling, whether it's from an experience, you're able to have that control and be at peace no matter what comes your way. Now, life is going to throw you a lot of things. You hear this all the time. We all know this. But that does not mean that having gratitude prevents you from feeling very intense emotions, feeling down, feeling sad. Everyone gets sad. Everyone feels hurt. Everyone goes through the waves of emotions. But like me, when I'm, in person dealing with these worldly experiences, seeing a ton of stray cats and not a single one without a mangled tail, stray dogs with a hole in their mouth from fighting other dogs for territory and female, seeing animals in a small pen that have nowhere to roam, and you're a foreigner, so what are you going to do about it, right? Various things like this. You can learn from these experiences and take it back to your culture and see how you can apply it there. So let's say, for example, the dogs. With stray dogs, they have this utmost freedom, they have the energy, they have this zest for life. They experience it like no other domesticated dogs do. We, as Americans, and it could be anywhere else, have various levels of how we take care of our pets. So first level could be people leaving their dogs outside. So they keep them outside unless it rains, unless they have some type of shelter for them outside, and then they keep them out there even when it rains. The second level could be keeping them inside, right? You let them out to go to the bathroom, you barely take them outside, you don't really go on walks with them. Third level could be you take them on daily walks and you implement them into your life. You play with them, you do more enrichment things with them, you take them to the park, yada, yada, yada. Fourth level could be you start making food for them. So you have like raw food diets, you have those enrichment mats, you have play dates in the park, you do whatever, right? You just basically make their life fruitful. The fifth level is extreme. So people will get them a passport. I know a lot of other countries, they actually have passports for their pets. It's a real thing. I was shocked myself, but yes. So they have a passport and, they travel with you. They go wherever you go. You take them with you and you experience life and they experience life. So you have all these levels, but regardless of how your family's setup is with the pets, we tend to, and more often than not, the younger kids or even just being a pet owner, right, and taking the dog out on a walk isn't the most convenient at times, right? It can be in the most inconvenient time that you have to go and take them out on a walk really quick and then go back. But think about this. These dogs, these pets of ours, even cats, wait all day long for you to get back. Inside, I might add, or depending on how you have them, they have done absolutely nothing and you are all they know. You are their world. For their whole life, you decide everything about them. What they eat, where they sleep, what they do, when they go to the bathroom, when they get to play, when they go outside, whatever it is. Also, I don't know why we say not to mention because we mention it, but not to mention, when we take them out on these walks, we tend to forget that the walks are for them. And I'm pretty sure I talked about this before. When we take them out on these walks, we always tell them either let's go or come on or stop it, whatever it is, under that spectrum. When it's related to them sniffing in an area for more than 5 seconds, and I'm not even being dramatic, I feel like we just have a shorter patience level with them sniffing, which is what they do to visually see the world and create an enrichment. It's a huge part of their sensorial cues, right? Their sensory through their olfactory receptors. It's like 80% of their sight of the world. Or they've peed on too many trees or peed on too many mailboxes. Like, we're like, oh, that's enough, or you don't have to pee, or blah, 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 right? This is just instinct. This is natural. And I know, sometimes we're just being a little knuckleheads and we're pulling them because it's unnecessary and it's like the 5th time in a minute. And to that extent, you just a little tug, right? But I'm more so talking about overall, right? Just being aware of these things that we do. We also prevent them from going to a certain extent into someone's yard. It's a yard. It's a yard, you guys. My parents feel the same way. They're like, I don't want them in my yard. And I'm like, Mom, it's a yard. If they pick up after the dog, what is the harm? What is so problematic about the dogs going on the yard? Because this is all they have. I would personally love it if dogs go in my yard. I have neighbors, they have their dogs go in my yard, and I really don't mind. I actually encourage it, because if I don't have life integrated on my yard, in my home, surrounding me, like, it's boring, it's dull. I have wildlife all around me. I have and I'm just going to touch on this. I have a groundhog that doesn't bother us. His name is Beefcake. He's pretty chunky. He eats all my weeds and he puts a smile on my face. So I let him be. However, moving back to the dogs, we don't let them go in a certain amount past someone's yard. We don't let them meet other dogs most of the time. We don't let them interact because it's a risk that they could attack the person as a byproduct of trying to attack the dog. Something could happen and you don't want to be liable. You don't have to worry about it. So you prevent that from happening by crossing the street or holding your dog back, whatever, right? Even if they bark at the other dog, you prevent them from, and they're just trying to interact. They're just trying to live their life. This is the only time that they truly get to go on these walks, and we prevent so much. We have so much control over what they do, and I don't think we fully realize it. It's subconscious actions that we do that takes away their freedom. We provide so much limitations on what they can and cannot do. So just bringing that awareness to the public point of view is something I really wanted to address, because I feel like it's very important, and we take all of these generic day-to-day structures in our life pretty subconsciously, pretty much airplane mode. We don't think too much about these things. And if one person can make change, even a simple change, right? Giving their dog a little bit more time on walks, giving their dog a little bit more enrichment throughout their day, giving their dog another companion. You have millions of dogs all over the world that are strays, that are in the middle of the Ukraine war and they're getting killed off. You have dogs that are being used for the meat festival and dog trades in China and various other industries. As you have dogs that are in kennels in the US that are killed off because we haven't picked them, and we give them a due date, decide that their time's up. Like, can you imagine you're given up, or you're found off the street, or you're found in a house that didn't treat you well, that maybe used you as a bait dog, that maybe was found in a hoarding situation, and yet no one wanted to give you a chance because they either want the puppies, or you're a pit bull mix and you have too much trauma, too many things can be stereotyped, or you want a purebred. You want that golden labradoodle. You want that Leon Burger. You look for a pet as a sign of wealth. I'm telling you, if you just go to a shelter, just look around, maybe even walk a couple. Sometimes it's an old dog. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 years old. Sometimes it has trauma and you have to go through the training process. And while that may not be convenient, and you just want a purebred, you just want to start fresh, you just want things to be easy. First, anything worth it is never easy. That's my motto. Second, giving a dog from a shelter a second chance at life. And you'll fall in love regardless of their, mutt or purebred. I'm a mutt. I'm not all all American. I'm not all Irish. I am a blend. And that doesn't define me. And it shouldn't define the quality of the life of the dog at the shelter. And it's so, so important to recognize that shelter dogs deserve a second chance. And you'll fall in love. You'll fall in love, and maybe that's not what you want to hear, but you will. Maybe you just don't even want a dog yet, and you just go to the shelter and you walk the dogs. A government shelter will let you walk the dogs. Go to the shelter and walk the dogs. I mean, there's no commitment there. You're making these dogs entire day, and it raises your dopamine, so it's literally benefiting both parties. And it's so, so important to recognize the time that we provide to the dogs that we have at home. That they're not an inconvenience, but they're supposed to enhance our life. Once they pass away, once they get cancer, once something happens, your time is up. Your time is shortened. And you don't get that chance to change it. My family's dog, Obi, oh my gosh, I love him. I love him so much. This dog is a pit mix. And he has made me fall in love with the breed. And I am so obsessed with the breed now. They are just these babies, these absolute cuddle bugs. And Obi is not a dog, I swear. He's literally a human being. And he had cancer last year. And they said he has a month to live, or you can pay, it was an insane amount of money. I think it was like $2,000 to have him go through surgery and get it taken out. And I believe it was kidney cancer. I could be completely wrong. I know that it was the cancer that basically is, they say, is the worst cancer for a dog. It takes over the entire body, and there's not really that much they can do about it except for take it out through surgery. And even after surgery, he might live up to 8 months. They can't guarantee anything. He's been cancer-free for an entire year now. And we are so unbelievably blessed to even get that second chance. But every day now, I think it's because of that interaction, because of that experience, because of me traveling as well, I have this awareness and gratitude to get to take him out on walks. I will go over there and take him out on a walk sometimes before work. And it's out of my way. And I'm totally okay with that. And I'll let him do his thing. I'll let him take a long time. I will dedicate 30 minutes, if not an hour. Doesn't take an hour. He gets tired now. He's 9. But I'll dedicate more time for him to sniff and enjoy the walk because I'm bonding with him, because I love him, because he doesn't have but 12 summers, if that. That's a high number for dogs. 12 summers. That's all they get. 12 summers. So really love your dog. Take them in, because once they get sick, once something happens, you don't truly appreciate them, but they are all you have. What? You are all they have. You are all they have. And that's with anything. You don't know how much you miss something until you lose it. I mean, with my cooking, with just freedom in my own home, with pets. So moving forward, this past week was the first time I got to finally cook again. And just being able to do something like that has brought so much gratitude for me, because I didn't even realize that like cooking was so prominent for me. And coming back and wanting to cook and not having that opportunity really drove that in me, knowing that I love cooking and I want to do that. So getting to do that this week and getting to unbox everything and put everything away, and then having my family, come over, because my sister had her first son this summer. And so having him come over, Cameron, just getting to experience all of that, hosting for the first time in the house, was awesome. It was so, so awesome. Ben and I were so, so grateful. And my mom and my sister decorated for Halloween for me. And it was cool because we're big Halloween people. We're big holiday people, but we go all out for Halloween. There's something about Halloween that our family has just really brought into our lives, and it's a thing, and we decorate. The nephews and my niece, they love Halloween, and I love that they love it. I love it's a generational thing. I love that it's our family tradition. So I hope that you guys have something like that you really enjoy with your family and you get to really be grateful for or look forward to, because I find it so energizing as well. But yeah, it was such a fun and crazy summer, and I'm finally getting to experience what having a house is like besides the projects and the exterminations and pest control and whatnot. But this episode was just to basically catch you guys up with what I've been doing, get you guys into a better understanding as to where we're going from here. In this new season, we will discuss various topics like the palm oil industry, the never-ending battle between the economy and environment, the leveling up as you continue to take charge in your life, right? Like realizing the things that are important to you, noticing how first starting that, right, can be so stressful, so overwhelming. You feel like it sucks, right? And you just want to give up. But right as you're about to give up, if you just keep going, you break that barrier. It gets so much easier. You realize that it's not gonna always be like that, and you go to level 2. You recognize the things that you aren't so good at, that bother you and you want to get better at, and the things that you are really good at within the same context, right? So like, I am not great at saving water. I notice it. I'm just bothered by it and I give myself a hard time, but I still do it. But there's so many other things that I'm environmentally and eco-friendly better at. So you have to give yourself that balance, that grace, and learning how that transition from the beginning stage to the second level is a space of learning and grace and understanding and finding ways that you can make it easier for yourself. Like Ben, when he takes a shower, right before he washes his body, he turns off the water, he suds up, and then he turns it back on and rinses off. I will take a shower. I just have to wash my body and wash my face. I'll take a shower and literally use so much water just to wash my face when I could have done that after and sudsed up and then turn the water on. So there's things that I'm aware of, there's things that I'm better at, but I have to give myself grace. So learning how to give yourself grace and develop a positive relationship in caring for the planet and your overall well-being and your confidence and feeling like you have that level of trust in yourself to follow through with whatever you're telling yourself that you're going to do. Really recognizing that, and that topic as a whole is what we're going to continue on in this new season. I also want my listeners to know that when going on a holistic health and wellness, whole foods journey, or even just trying to better yourself, right? That journey, when you start out, you're going to be fed with all of this information. We are at a place where social media provides us with so much information on things, and your level of awareness is overloaded. You feel so discombobulated because we're constantly bombarded with all of this, and some of this is even misinformation, or sometimes it's newly recognized to be, not good for you, or it has this and this, and before brought out to awareness as a great thing. Let me put it into a visual example. Ben and I would get Celtic sea salt because we know that our water is stripped of its natural minerals and nutrients. And these are a big part in how you get these natural minerals and nutrients in your body. Now he was like, well, we'll just get it from our foods if we can't get it from, he said this after the situation that happened, which I will tell you in a second. The thing about getting it from your foods is in America, our soil is so depleted of this nutrient-dense soil, fertilization, everything, right? It's so depleted. It's garbage soil. The way that our agriculture practices are, they don't think of ways to do things in a more sustainable way. Sustainable means you are using your resources to sustain long term, to be there for your future self. So they are more about short-term gratification and money making. And so this process causes a problem for us now that they did a long time ago. And the nutrients in our soil is depleted. So when you go, hey, our Celtic sea salt is now founded to be with lead and heavy metals. We're like, are you serious? Because we did so much research. We tried to find ways to get nutrients and minerals back into our body. We thought we were doing something right. And then we felt like we were, led with misinformation. But in fact, it was actually just recently found out. So that's when Ben was like, we can just get it from our foods. And I'm like, no, Ben. Like, we're kind of fucked. Excuse my language, but we're kind of messed up because unless we, get organic, which organic isn't fully organic, and I'm not trying to go on a tangent here, so I'm going to try to keep it as short as possible, but unless you do certain things that are really expensive, that are kind of out of our budget right now because of, the things that we want to do, we need to find other ways of getting these nutrients and minerals, because otherwise, we're going to be stripped of these and have problems, and whatever else. And I know that sounds like really dramatic, and I feel like if you do know where I'm coming from, then you'll understand, but it's just how the world works right now. And so I just want you to know that it does get better, but when you go through these things, yes, there's still mental breakdowns, yes, you still feel overwhelmed, but that's where my strong skill I've recently developed comes to light. It's called pivoting. You have to pivot. You have to know, okay, that's fine. Try again. Like we're gonna keep going at this until we find something that works for us, because when you do that, you build this foundation. You build this like toolbox of all the things that you know works for you, of all the things that you've been able to really rely on that do help for your health and wellness. And you pivot so you can find new methods. You can be determined, you can be disciplined, you can not give up what matters to you because you feel like it's too hard, because you feel like you keep hitting walls. So this new season, season 2, a way for you to simply live by living simply. You're not on this journey alone. I'm going to make these episodes informative, helpful. I am dedicated to finding ways to take out all the BS so you can just feel confident in your choices you're making for your health. Just feel confident in the choices you're making for your future self. Just have that level of, I did this. I got here. We're good. I can feel in control of my life. I can feel in control of my health. I know that there's a lot of things that are going on that are problematic in our food system, in our pharmaceutical system, in our water system, in everything health and wellness. But that's not stopping me, and everything's gonna be okay. We're gonna get through it, and that's that, period. So, Connected Threads is dedicated to less stress and no BS. Know that there's people out there that feel the same way you do, and that life is always going to throw things your way. You just got to figure out how you can overcome it, because that's where we really develop grit and find who we are and what we want to be. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode, catching back up with me. Looking forward to the new months as I drop episodes on the 18th. And thank you for listening. Feel free to connect with me on my Instagram at gabrielle.brown, and hit subscribe to this podcast to join the happily living crew. I'm your host, Gabrielle, and this is Connected Threads.